We are here to talk about SWOT analysis. Now, SWOT analysis is not just an important concept from a strategic business leader or SBL perspective in ACCA, but this concept is also used widely across the world for analyzing the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that your business or organization might have. What you want to do with strengths is that you want to, build upon them, or you want to maximize them. What you want to do with weaknesses is you want to work towards either making sure that those weaknesses turn into strengths, or you're able to mitigate, your weaknesses. With opportunities, you obviously want to capitalize on any opportunities that may exist. And with threats, you want to sort of navigate around them. So you build your business strategy or your organization strategy in a way to navigate around the various threats that exist. From an exam perspective, one thing that I want all of you to remember is that strengths and weaknesses are always internal to an organization, whereas opportunities and threats are always external to the organization. Now, as a fun activity, what I want to do with all of you is we'll go over some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that Nike has. And after that, what I want you all to do is I want you all to do two things. I want you all to read the book Shoe Dog. It's a memoir by the creator of Nike. I will give you amazing insights into Nike's business model and such. And the second thing I want you to do is I want you to think of one strength, one weakness, one opportunity, and one threat for any of your favorite companies, right? So let's start with the analysis of Nike. What are the strengths of Nike? Well, right off the bat, the very first thing that I can think of is they have a very strong brand value. Whenever I see a tick mark, the first thing I think of is the Nike logo. And in such, they've created their brand value of approximately 50.2 billion US dollars. The second strength that I can think of is their market capitalization. So Nike owns the highest share of market for athletic wear, leisure wear, and these different segments of accessories. Well, Nike has a market cap of approximately 193 billion US dollars in the year 2023 in these two accessory domains. Finally, the last strength that I can think of that Nike has an advantage in is the iconic relationships they have. So I'm sure you all know the Air Jordans that Nike has, which is a partnership with Michael Jordan, who's a very famous basketball player. So these are some strengths that Nike has. Nike should probably do or think more along these lines and how they can turn them into bigger advantages. And so now let's talk about some weaknesses that may exist. In terms of the weaknesses, right off the bat, what I can think of is the retailers have a very strong hold on Nike. So approximately 65% of the Nike products are sold through retailers, and this is something that can come back to bite them. So maybe they can change this. We'll talk about this in the opportunities that they may have to turn this around, right? Another thing that I can think of is pending debts. So if you've ever looked at the Nike financial statements, you'd realize that Nike has a long-term debt of 8.9 billion US dollars, which is quite significant. They should probably pay off some of these amounts or figure out ways to deal with this particular problem. Finally, the last weakness that I can think of is that they have a dependency on the US or rather the American market. While Nike is expanding globally in a lot of countries, the biggest market that they have is the United States. And this again could be a weakness that they have if they don't diversify, right? Let's talk about some opportunities that Nike has. Right off the bat, I can think of emerging markets as an opportunity for Nike. So what do I mean by emerging markets? Well, in the past, it was mainly the first world countries who could afford Nike products. But now even countries like India, various other countries in Asia, countries in Africa, they're able to purchase and afford Nike products. So, Nike should really think about penetrating emerging markets. Another thing that I can think of, is their acquisition of AI startups. So recently Nike acquired an AI startup, and you can read about this on Google if you're interested. And what they aim on doing with this AI startup is they plan on building digital accessories. So if you heard of the concept of metaverse, some people think that it's really going to take over. So Nike has a huge opportunity in this regard. And finally, another opportunity that they have is exiting the wholesale distribution that they've gotten into, wholesale and retail for that matter. So I talked about this as one of their weaknesses, but they can completely exit this and build their own supply chain. Finally, let's talk about some threats that Nike has. So very first one I can think of is counterfeit products. Now, what do we mean by counterfeit products? Well, think of your local retailer. He can take cheap materials, build a shoe on their own and just put a tick mark on it. Well, this is not a Nike product, but it's a counterfeit product. So it's one of the biggest threats. There is increased competitive pressure on Nike with more and more brands entering this space at better price points with better products. And final threat that I can sort of think of is, economic uncertainty or foreign exchange risk. What I mean by that is, tomorrow, if Nike has a business in India, which they do, and the Indian rupee depreciates compared to the US dollar, it's a bad thing for Nike. Nike will lose out on money. So similarly, depending on how many countries they trade in, they need to factor in foreign exchange risk in different countries. With that, we've come to the end of our analysis on Nike. If you found this video helpful, I'd recommend you to, sort of do your own SWOT analysis on your favorite company, and it'll put you in good stead for the exam. Thanks for watching.